say that Orlando might be the most fatigued city in the country today.
Yeah, I think that would be a safe call, actually.
I was driving around. I was driving on my way to work today, and I'm looking around, and I know that not everybody watched this game, but a lot of people watched this game.
Oh, they definitely did. And there were some people that I weren't expecting to watch this game that were tweeting about it and commenting on Facebook about it at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
So I don't know if it was just a Friday thing or what, but I think it's because of what we saw last night. It feels like the city is tired, we're fatigued, but it's worth it because we're happy in the way that all of this played out. There's so much to come over through all of this, but I'll start with you because you were there.
I was.
Of all of the people that work for this radio station that did an incredible job with whatever it is their particular job is as it pertains to UCF. Bianchi covering the game for the Orlando Sentinel and staying there until way too late.
Yes, he was.
Rolling in and still doing this show. So impressive. Mark Daniels on the air for 9+ hours last night, comes in and does his show today. And I sat on my couch and watched this from home. Stefan, you were at the stadium last night too, and I thought for sure, because you and I were not communicating last night,
right?
I thought, you know what, there's no point. Because this is a 3-hour delay. There's no way that I know my man Stefan. He's looking at this. He got the media meal. He was excited for it. But, like, I'm not going to sit around and wait for Mother Nature to tell me when I can go home. But you actually made it through.
Yes, sir. I was there for the entirety of the game. Rain delay, all 4 quarters. And to be honest with you, I'm glad I stayed because being a part of the environment, the aura, the experience, everything that was going on at the bounce house out at UCF yesterday, it was fun to do. It was late. You were sleepy. You were tired. I'm still sleepy right now, but the way UCF came back in that game, and then everybody that stuck it out, like I was very surprised at how many people were in that stadium come the second quarter, because the beginning of the first quarter, you saw people trickling in, but it didn't look like we were going to have a full house. I even said a couple times, I was like, this went from a sold-out game to a game against Bethune-Cookman. Like, there's nobody here. And then as people started making their way in from their tailgates and making their way into the stadium, you had, I would probably say a good 60-70% capacity.
It's crazy that it would even appear anything close to that. I would have thought that it would have been more like 25%, and I would not blame a single solitary person because that would have been me driving home.
And the worst part of it was there were so many times where we thought the game was going to get started. And if I was a student coming to this game, sitting in the student section, I probably would have left. Because the way it went down was the kids would go into the student section, they would sit down, and then there would be a flash of lightning. Everybody's got to get out of the ball.
Yeah.
And then they would sit in the concourse for 15 minutes and they were like, all right, things are cool. Go ahead on in. And then another flash of lightning and everybody have to leave their seats. And they did this 5 times, Kravitz, before they just said, you know what? The weather service says that this storm's not passing till 9 o'clock. Let's see if we can start at 9:30.
Crazy. This is why we can't have nice things in Florida.
It wouldn't have been an official Florida game if there was no lightning delay. Gus Malzahn had to get, for lack of a better word, gang beat into Florida Football Society with his first lightning delay because it's a regular thing around here. And the east side of town is the worst place to be honest with you, when it comes to.
And I'm sitting there thinking like, and by the way, I'm tired too. I'm not saying that I rise to the level of any of the people that we've already talked about, including my co-host today. But I think that just speaks to how fatigued everybody else that's doing this today, and all of you out there, for a lot of you that are listening right now that were at the game.
Oh yeah,
fatiguing experience. And so I know that if I'm tired, you are incredibly tired. So at the end of the day, it's all worth it. I'm sitting there and thinking, I'm watching how this is all going down. I definitely didn't think I was going to make it into the third quarter of a game that started an hour after UCF. I'm watching Ohio State and Minnesota into the third quarter, and UCF Boise State hadn't even started yet.
Yeah.
And it was just such a dampened feeling of this is really how this season's going to start. We went through COVID last year and all of the things, all the hurdles that had to be jumped over just so we could have some semblance of normalcy in football. But we all know last year didn't feel normal, even if a couple of fans were able to trickle into the stadium. Last year was weird, top to bottom, even in this state where things are more wide open than in other places in the country. And then to come back 2021 to whatever close to 100% capacity this was going to be, and to look forward to 7 o'clock all day long.
Oh, yeah.
That was going to be the moment I parked myself and did not move a muscle. And to have to sit and wait, it took a game like that for us to not really register how disappointing last night could have been.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're subscribed, if you're following us on IG, I went around and kind of showed what it looked like under the concourse. And there was kids just sitting around in a circle, with some nachos and beers and just waiting for the game to start. And you could tell after a while that they were getting over it. They were like, you know what? Never mind. I started seeing some cars start to pull out. But then all of us in the press box realized those aren't the students. Those are the old people that have to go to work tomorrow, because the students aren't going to class tomorrow.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, if you're a student and you're there,
you're not leaving.
What? It's 10 o'clock at night. Like, you're not going to bed.
No, not at all.
You're not. You have nothing to go to sleep with because you have class at noon the next day. Come on, give me a break.
But if that game had been a loss, and a significant loss, like it looked like it might turn out to be as the game got started, it would have been a huge stain on the start of this season for UCF.
Because it looked like not only was UCF going to lose this game, they were about to get blown out by the team that had been doing this longer, the Group of Five level, and the G5 Super Bowl came through. The hashtag G5 Super Bowl came through last night. I thought that as bad as Dillon Gabriel looked at the beginning of that game, once he shook that off and you got out of the mess that was quarter one of this game, I thought it was the best Dillon Gabriel game that he has played in college so far.
Yeah.
He was absolutely phenomenal. He wasn't perfect, but I didn't say perfect. He's played more perfect games. This was the best game. The poise that he showed in these big moments to make big plays when the team's down by a ton of points, and you're playing against a really good football team that is not surprised they're up by 21 early in this game, to make some of the throws that he did, the confidence, the leadership, and all of that. The moxie, he grew up. That was like 3 weeks. That was like 3 weeks of football in one game.
It absolutely was. And you could tell the team as a whole matured throughout that game. They pulled themselves up and found out what they were made of in that game. And I think it's important that you make that designation, because Boise State is the OG in this thing. They have been doing this.
They're the OG five.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a very long time. They've been going into big games and beating up on people that they know they have the ability to beat up on. And so when they're up by 21 points, I'm sure they're not shocked at all. And they're like, all right, let's put our feet on the gas and let's start making this thing happen. But what I noticed in Dillon Gabriel was, especially in that first quarter, after he threw that interception, because they were marching down the field like it was about to be a UCF blowout.
I know. I was feeling really good at the start of that game.
That first drive, you're watching this game, and you're like, oh, my God, UCF is about to tear Boise State apart. And he throws that first interception, and it was like the entirety of all of his football wisdom, knowledge, and confidence deflated out of his system. And I was telling some of the guys at the game, I was like, his mechanics are off. The way he's twisting his arm, his waist, the way he's twisting at his waist, his arm throw, his wind up, everything feels like he was a home run hitter that got a new batting coach this season, and things were just off and he hadn't figured it out yet. The way that he was dropping those passes in, it just wasn't indicative of him. And then as the second quarter went, and then more specifically the third quarter, it got better and better.
And that right there is why this is the best game that he's ever played, because that's what great quarterbacks do.
Yeah.
He was dreadful to start this game. It would have been very easy to crawl back in to your own mind, overanalyze things, mechanics all messed up, and play this sort of tight, pensive style of football. But he let it loose. I mean, he's throwing passes. You would have no idea. If you just didn't look at the score and you just watched the highlights, you would have no idea that this was a team that, opening a season with a new head coach, with all of these expectations, that they're down by a significant number of points because he was just slinging it. And I do need to there's a lot of people to give credit to. My new favorite player on this team, Isaiah Bowser.
Yes.
This guy is a bowling ball. I loved watching him play. I was all worried. One of the concerns I had going into this game, I knew that Gus Malzahn was going to try and establish the run. He even did that after this team had a deficit. For the record, Josh Heupel would never
ever
put that out there.
Oh God, no.
But
that was one of the things that got them back in the game.
Absolutely.
It was a combination of Isaiah Bowser bullying people on that front line and making it past that first wave, making it past the linebackers for every single run he put in there. And the defensive front four getting a push on Boise State's offensive line and allowing them to begin to dominate and put real pressure on that quarterback. Those two pieces were the pieces that really made a difference in this game because Isaiah Bowser was just bullying people. Like it didn't matter where you put him. And the thing that I love the most about it was they didn't try to get fancy with it. Right up the A gap, right up the B gap, just straight down the middle. And if you can stop him, stop him. There's a couple of runs that he got loose on, but almost every run was 3+ yards, no matter what.
Well, I think that's what this team needed. That's why I was excited when Gus Malzahn was the guy that came in with the talent that's on this team. The way that they played under Josh Heupel, I wasn't a fan because he didn't play a style of football that catered to a big comeback. Yeah. Because he didn't play a style that gave his defense a chance to breathe or to beat an opposing defense down by saying, we're not scared to run.
Yeah. And those guys, and you can tell Boise State's defense was getting tired. They were getting tired of tackling him. They were getting tired of bouncing off of him. They were getting tired of UCF's O-line pushing them forward, or pushing them back, 2, 3, 5, 7 yards every time. They were just getting exhausted. And UCF was running, especially in the beginning of the game, a super fast hurry-up offense. And then towards the middle and the end of the game, a modified hurry-up. But they didn't have time to catch their breath.
I think it shows a level of confidence, too. These Boise State guys are like, wait, they're still running the football?
Yeah.
Like, we feel like we're blowing you out. They clearly don't.
Exactly.
There was a level of confidence that this team had. I even think Gus Malzahn in the postgame press conference, to me, sounded a bit surprised. Like he learned something that I think we already knew, that this UCF team has been mega resilient. Last year didn't go well, but this UCF team since 2017, one of the reasons they've won as many games as they have is because of their resiliency. And I think Malzahn is like, I had heard about that. And I think I saw a game once or twice, but he lived it on the sideline is like, they really are winners.
That brash and bravado and cockiness that everybody talks about UCF having, it is justified. It's not fly by night. Oh, they had a good season once upon a time and then fake the national championship. No, these guys really believe that they are the it and deserve to be there.
We want to get your reactions on this. 50857 on the Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. There were two plays that I thought really exemplified just how great of a night it was for Dillon Gabriel. We'll get some of your texts, and I'll share that with you next.
Jeff lives here, not in the zone.